Summary of Oleanna by David Mamet. A college professor named John is on the phone in his office while his student Carol waits for a meeting with him across from him at his desk. While John is on the phone with his wife Grace, they are closing on a house. Grace is having a problem with the real estate agent and wants John to come over to the house right away. John tells her he'll meet her there soon and then hangs up. John asks Carol why she's come to see him. She tells him in a weak voice that she's having trouble in John's class and doesn't understand what it's about. Before taking another call, John tells Carol in an arrogant way that she's a bright girl and will figure things out. This time, it's his lawyer Jerry, who also wants him to come to the new house. John tells Jerry that he'll be there soon. After John hangs up the phone, he keeps talking to Carol. They talk about his book, which is required reading for the class, and the ideas it contains. John thinks that modern education is a curse and not much more than a hazing ceremony. Carol says she isn't sure why she chose to go to college in the first place because all of her classes make her feel stupid. John tells Carol that he understands how hard it is for her because he had the same problems in school, struggling to understand not only the ideas he was being taught but also how they fit into the bigger picture. When John's wife calls again, he tells her quickly that he'll be there soon. Carol, who knows what John is talking about, asks him if he's going to buy a house to go with his promotion. John is up for tenure, and the promotion is almost certain to happen. Carol says she is scared about what her grade will be in class. John offers her a deal. He will give her an A for the term no matter what her previous grades were if she comes to weekly lessons in his office and works hard to understand the material. Carol says that the school has rules, but John says he'll just break them because he likes Carol and wants to help her. Carol gets angry when John says that most higher education is useless as they start to talk about the course content and the problems with modern higher education. Carol looks like she's about to cry, so John puts his arm around her shoulder to support her. She angrily pushes him away, though. She tells John that she has to tell him something that she has never told anyone, but the phone rings again before she can say it. Jerry picks up the phone and starts talking to his wife and Jerry, who are both at the new house. He is shocked when they tell him that they're trying to get him there quickly because they're throwing him a surprise party to celebrate his promotion. While John hangs up the phone and tells Carol he has to go, Carol says how nice it is that the people he loves are throwing him a party. John replies, there are those who would say, a surprise is a form of aggression. John and Carol are back in his office in Act 2, but it's clear that something has changed between them. John is telling Carol that he has always tried to be a good teacher, even though he doesn't like college. According to him, when he was first up for tenure, he knew it was hypocritical of him to want the raise so badly. But he told himself that getting the job would allow him to continue his professional goal and also support his family. John tells Carol that her complaint against him has slowed down his promotion and will eventually delay his ability to buy the house he and his wife want to build. John asks Carol in a cool way why he wants to talk to her here. John says he wants to make things right with Carol and end the case before it goes to the tenure committee. Carol says she thinks John is trying to get her to take back what she said. John reads from the note Carol left him, which is on his desk. There are claims of physical abuse and that John tried to get Carol to have sex with him by telling her she'd get good grades in his class if she came to his office once a week. John says he was only ever trying to help Carol and that he can still settle things if she wants to. John's abuse of power and his part in a system that hurts people like Carol, on the other hand, make Carol very angry. She talks about a group she's a part of and makes it sound like what she did to John was for them. Carol says John is making fun of his students, being dishonest, and taking part in the hazing practices he says he hates for his own benefit. John replies that he's just a person. Carol stands up to leave, saying she'd rather talk about her issue with the tenure committee. John walks after Carol as she heads for the door. He grabs her arm and tries to stop her from running away while she screams for help at the top of her voice. John and Carol are back in John's office in Act 3. John says he asked Carol to come back even though it wasn't in his best interest. She says she came here even though it wasn't in her best interest or the interest of the court officers. Even though Carol is scared to be there, John begs her to just listen to him. When John's phone rings, he answers it angry and says he can't talk. John tells Carol in a cool voice that he is being fired and won't be getting tenure. Carol says that John is trying to get her to change her mind by making her feel sorry for him. Carol says she can't take back what she said because if she did, it would mean she agreed with John's terrible behavior. She looks at her class notes and says that she has kept track of the times John has talked in ways she thinks are rude, like calling female students dear and making comments about how fetching their clothes are. Carol says that what John said is the same thing as rape. Then she takes John's book out of her bag and scolds him for writing something that is meant to confuse students by using strange language and high ideals. John hates Carol because she now has power over him, which Carol tells him. He agrees with you. To go back to Carol's group, she says that they are all mad at John for making fun of school, since many of them need to go to school to get the same job security that John has at the university. John tells Carol that he can change, but Carol calls him a little yapping fool and walks away. But before she leaves the room, she tells John that there might be something he can do to make her change her mind. She takes out a list of books that her group wants the university to ban from being read. John looks over the list and sees that his book is there. He tells Carol to leave his office because she is clearly trying to censor him, which makes him very angry. John picks up the phone when it rings and the talk makes him feel down. When he hangs up, Carol says she thought he already knew she was filing charges of criminal battery and attempted rape because he tried to stop her from leaving the office earlier. Her group has told her to do this, she says. John sits down and tells Carol to leave. She gets her things together and walks out the door. John's phone rings again, and it's his wife. Her face shows that she is upset, and he reassures her that everything will be fine, calling her baby. At the door, Carol tells John not to call his wife baby. John flies at Carol and starts hitting her badly. He grabs a chair and lifts it above his head, getting ready to hit Carol with it. Finally, he gathers his composure and decides to let it go. After that, he goes back to his desk and starts moving some papers around. Yes, says Carol, that's right.
About the author. David Mamet was born in Chicago and grew up in a neighborhood that was mostly Jewish. He went to a progressive independent school in the city's wealthy Lincoln Park area before starting at a low-residency college in Vermont. When Mamet got home from school, he did strange jobs to fund his dream of becoming an actor. But when he didn't get any parts, he chose to write and direct his own plays while teaching and directing in Chicago, Vermont, and New York. Mamet began to have success as a writer in the mid-1970s. His famous play Glengarry Glen Ross won the Pulitzer Prize for Drama in 1984. Mamet and William H. Macy went on to start the famous Atlantic Theater Company in New York in 1985. Mamet continued to be successful as a playwright in the 1980s, but he also started writing screenplays and directing movies. He adapted his own plays, Glengarry Glen Ross and Oleanna, for the big screen and got praise and award nominations for his work on The Postman Always Rings Twice and The Verdict. Mamet is a controversial but important figure in American theater. He is known for Mamet Speak, which is cynical, short, and often even mean speech, as well as for his controversial views on gender roles, political correctness, and world politics.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.